We are one away from the Big 5-0. Welcome to episode 49, another great guest for you on the School PR Podcast. We are talking to one of the best and brightest minds in the country with public education and public relations. Mr. Stephen Nichols will be joining us. He is running for NSPRA president. We'll ask him and talk to him about why he's running, his mission and vision, which includes NSPRA being a national and global voice and advocate for public education. And did you know Mr. Nichols is a former news reporter? All that and plenty more coming up on the School PR Podcast.
Hi, this is Rob Wiltsey, founder of Schoolshine. We make custom professional quality videos for school districts. We want to make sure your district has the very best video content possible and the best content strategy so you can get the most out of your videos. So check out some samples at schoolshine.org and schedule a call with us today to learn how you can take your videos to the next level. That's schoolshine.org.
Do you wish that creating and sending email newsletters took less time and effort? Would you like more parents to tune in and read your district's newsletter? If so, try MarketVolt, the email newsletter platform tailored for districts like yours. With MarketVolt, it's simple to create newsletters that parents will read. MarketVolt automatically customizes your newsletter to match each parent's interest. With MarketVolt, you can create better newsletters with less headache and less hassle. Visit betterk12newsletter.com to learn what MarketVolt can do for you. That's betterk12newsletter.com, powered by MarketVolt.
Hey there, PR experts. Blackboard here. School PR is about telling the story of your students, your teachers, and your school community. From websites and mass notifications to mobile presence and classroom engagement, Blackboard has the tools that you need. And whether you're a one-person shop or part of a bigger communication team, we can help you reach more people more effectively in less time. Thank you for all the work you do in improving education and helping students succeed. And thanks for letting us be a part of it. Now, back to the podcast.
Advocating for public education, sharing our stories, and celebrating our schools, students, teachers, and staff. From crisis communications to media relations, social media, and everything in between, we're here to give you the best strategies, tools, and techniques to help educators help our kids. Welcome to the School PR Podcast, brought to you by Blackboard, Schoolshine, and MarketVolt. Here's your host, Ryan Ferran.
Stephen Nichols, welcome to the School PR Podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Ryan, and thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. On the School PR Podcast, we thought we talk about everything in education, media relations, crisis communications, social media. We have several episodes on coronavirus communications for schools, 3 or 4 episodes on that alone, and we get the opportunity to talk to a lot of great minds in the world of public education and public relations specifically, so we are thrilled to have you. I know you are very busy right now with your NSPRA campaign, so appreciate the time that you're allotting us, and just want to catch up and kind of let the people know about why you're running for NSPRA, about you, and for those that don't know you, let them get some insights. And so just wanted to start basically, Stephen, with kind of your journey. I know it's a long and great one, but in school public relations and how you first got involved in education.
Well, yeah, I'm fired up, and I'm glad you mentioned the NSPRA race because this is it all comes together. I've been told life is cumulative, and this is certainly a part of that. I actually had no intention whatsoever of becoming a school public relations practitioner. I had no idea even what this job is. And I think a lot of us who are finding ourselves in this role kind of came to it in the same way. I started out fresh out of college. My undergraduate degree was in classical civilization. A lot of people know that, but I had obviously had not thought about, well, I should go be in school PR. But I needed a job fresh out of college. I went to undergrad in D.C. I went to Howard University, making a lot of national attention right now because the VP pick on the Democratic side, Kamala Harris, is also an alumnus of Howard. Yeah. And so, a lot of people are like talking about my place. Well, I went there when I graduated, I needed a job, like plain and simple. And so I came home to Sacramento, 3,000 miles away, and started working for a school district called Nichols Unified School District. And I started there because my former high school principal, who I've maintained a great relationship with, even to this day, she needed an administrative assistant. And I was like, okay, this would be a great job, just to come in and do something while I figure out what I'm going to do, right? So I end up working for her for about a year and a half. And when I was working there, I learned a lot about just how central office administration works, and really dealing with parents and different stakeholder groups. I was the person that they called. I helped out, in there. So I got a real good taste of what it means to actually work in a public school system. Now, here's something that a lot of NSPRA people do not know about me, is that I actually was, in fact, a reporter for a very, very, very short time. But that short time was a huge platform. I covered the 2008 Democratic National Convention for a conservative newspaper. It's now a blog, and actually, I won't say this right now, but I did cover it. I was on the ground in Denver, working for, actually, I'll say the organization is called Judicial Watch, and I was on their offshoot called Voter Watch. And so I covered the Obama, nomination, and I just had a real fascination of being behind the camera for the first time. And then that led me to get my interest piqued in, representing an organization and asking questions. So when I heard this PIO job come up, I said, I think I'd like to apply for that. And so I did, and that was in the 2007-8 school year. And I had been a member of CalSPRA and NSPRA shortly thereafter ever since. So it's a long story, long journey, but it's interesting to me because I think that's relevant for anyone that might be listening to your podcast, that you don't have to have prepared or planned to enter into the world of school PR. I think that you use your cumulative experiences, and you will enjoy leveraging those experiences in this particular field, because it is a passionate group we're a part of.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because there's a lot of former journalists like myself that are school PR, but there are so many different paths people have taken to get into school PR. So that's a great point. But the key factor we all discover once we start in education is that we love it. We're passionate for it. So it doesn't matter where you came from. It's that you believe in the mission of public education. So you're just inspired and fired up to do the work. So that's a cool point. I did not know about 2008 and that you were a reporter. That is breaking news right here.
I know a lot of people had no idea. So I had a lot of different experiences. Some people know about very, very well, and some don't.
I know you, so full transparency and full disclosure. So we've known each other probably about a decade. How long have you been? How long have you been in CalSPRA? When did you first join? I was talking to Daniel Thigpen, another amazing school PR rock star that we both know, trying to figure out when my first year was, and he thought that him and I joined around the same year. But I just assumed he was a veteran in there for like 10 years before I got there. When did you join?
So I joined, and it's hard to place. I started in November of 2008 at Folsom Cordova, and so I immediately became an NSPRA member. I went to the NSPRA conference in 2009, and I think I went to NSPRA before I went to CalSPRA. So I probably joined CalSPRA in about 2010, and I got on the board of CalSPRA shortly thereafter. 2011, 12, I would imagine, would be the very latest. So I've been a member of CalSPRA for just about a decade.
Yeah, I guess, man, we must have joined. I probably was just around you guys or a year after.
Yeah.
And
right.
So I fully support you, endorse you. We'll be voting for you for NSPRA because I know you so well. You were always so warm and welcoming to me at CalSPRA when I was the newbie there. You were always doing presentations. I could call you if I was in the middle of a jam, which I often am. And I just appreciate everything you do, how you represented CalSPRA. You were with CalSPRA and you have such great experience on the executive board there for 5 years, CalSPRA president. And just so impressed with your just your thought process, your ability, your communication, just everything. So I've always looked up to you, think you're amazing, did such a good job for CalSPRA. And so when I found out you were running for NSPRA, I was just super excited. I'm a recent NSPRA member too before joining the CalSPRA board, which just a few months ago. I'm now, of course, in NSPRA. So I'm just thrilled for the possibility of you leading NSPRA and taking us to new heights. I'm excited.
Well, congratulations, first of all, for your election to the CalSPRA board. I understand you were in the same shoes I'm in the fact that it was a contested election and you came out the victor, and so that's pretty good. And also, likewise, I mean, I think that we all have leveraged each other's experiences to support one another in our walk through this PR journey. If I could say a thing or two about NSPRA and why I'm running, I'd like to do that. Most is that cool? Do we have time for that?
Absolutely, yeah. Please do.
Yeah. Well, this is the second time that I'm actually seeking national office. I was elected at large as Vice President at Large for Diversity Engagement at NSPRA. And I served from 2015 through 2017 on the NSPRA Executive Board. And I got a tremendous appreciation for the organization as a whole. Coming from, and I was doing double duty. I was actually a CalSPRA president and a board member on NSPRA at the same time. And coming from the CalSPRA culture to the NSPRA culture, I wouldn't say they're night and day, but the level of sophistication that NSPRA operates with, I tried to take some of that and instill it into CalSPRA. NSPRA is fantastic. We were founded in 1935. They've been at the vanguard of school communications and really public school thought for almost 100 years. And so why I want to be president of this organization is because I do think we have such untapped potential. I think that being such an old organization relatively in the United States, I mean, we're actually older than the teachers organizations. NEA, National Education Association, was actually, if I'm not mistaken, was founded out of NSPRA. A lot of people don't know that. There was Ken Muir, who is an old-time, very, very, very well-respected former NSPRA, I think he was an NSPRA president in the past, wrote a really good NSPRA history that I'm sure you can access at National Office that just talks about the origin of NSPRA, where it started. So I'm thinking of an organization that's been around as long as NSPRA, is positioned in Washington, D.C., or its environs. How come NSPRA doesn't have as high a profile as I think it could be? So my entire campaign is centered around making sure we don't just talk to ourselves. We get together at our conference once a year. We celebrate our achievements. We pick each other up from our sorrows, and we share ideas about how we can be better at our jobs. But we don't take it to the level of how do we demonstrate the value of public education on a national level, on an international level. So I think that NSPRA is uniquely positioned to do just that. And so I want if I'm elected, I want my tenure on the board. It's a 2-year term. Your first year, you're president-elect, and the second year, you're president. I want us to be more reflective of the profession. I think that we have some of the greatest public relations minds in any industry are members of our organization, and I want us all to demonstrate that that's the case by us strongly advocating and pursuing accreditation. I want us to be more responsive to the professional members of NSPRA. I think that we exist at a very unique time where there's civil unrest in our country, a lot of social issues that are coming up, racial injustice. We have the opportunity to really make sure that the next generation of NSPRA members feel completely engaged and connected. So I think that that's important. And then finally, what I started with is I think we should be more relevant to the public. When somebody shows up and talks about, and I've always said this, Ryan, I was going to do this. I watch NBC Nightly News, my wife and I, almost every day. Lester Holt is from Sacramento, actually, so he's a hometown guy, and I just love watching him. And if I had to do a study of how many times public education is in the nightly news, I would say there's some story about education at least every day, definitely several times a week. And I think that that would be a really cool study to see how often public education is talked about nationally on the news. Well, I want to start to see members of NSPRA, not just our president, but members of the executive board, maybe our executive director, and other members of NSPRA standing up for public education. I think that with people that have a background like yourself in broadcast journalism and so many others, we are probably the best people to articulate the value of public education on the whole. And so I want to push NSPRA to do those kinds of things. I'll end with this. When we were in Washington, the last time we had an in-person seminar, we are stone's throw away from the Department of Education, and we had zero representation. No one from the Department of Education came and said hello, and I wonder what that's about. If we ever go back to NSPRA in DC or in that area, I hope that never happens again, and I'm going to work to make sure that that's the case.
I'm loving your platform. Your ideas are amazing. I just speaks to me so much. One of the things that I've kind of always had in the back burner and a mission that I try and incorporate here in Arcadia on a small level, but I would love a larger platform, and I think you're taking it to the next step, which is amazing. But NSPRA and school PR being the voice of public education, advocating for public education. When I Google search public education, when you do it, first few stories are negative. To change that narrative, share those positive stories. And like you said, there's so many stories, especially now with the coronavirus, about public education, school closures, how it impacts everybody, the health. Public education always get mentioned, and we've been in the news constantly over the past 6 months. But where is our voice from the people inside of education advocating for us, giving the other side and giving that perspective? And I can honestly think of no better person to be that voice for public education and NSPRA than you. I love that idea. I love that expanding the platform. As you know, it's so funny with school PR organizations, even CalSPRA. We're some of the best public relations professionals in the country, yet we're terrible at promoting ourselves and advocating for ourselves. We were at our conference a couple of years ago, and we're like, why didn't we invite the news here? Like, you know, we had Tony Thurman, the state superintendent, there, and all this stuff. We're like, and we had this idea. It was kind of too late, but it's like, why aren't we promoting ourselves and getting this great story about how we're in Santa Rosa and bringing back, you know, helping after the wildfires. We had so many good things that we were doing, and we're all advocating for public education. But I love your platform, what you're running on. I see so much opportunity there. I agree with you. NSPRA is such a strong organization. I love it. Proud to be a member. But I see the opportunity, and I think what you're saying is not just talking points. It's very doable. It's a big mission, but it's so doable. Like you said, there's so many good people with that media relations experience and credibility, and we have national contacts. I just love your vision for this. What could stunning professional quality videos do for your school district's PR and communications? Find out how School Shine's professional video team can partner with your district at schoolshine.org. This podcast is also brought to you by MarketVolt Email Newsletter Solutions, providing industry-leading email newsletter solutions that better connect over 800,000 parents, staff, and community members with their school districts. Learn more about MarketVolt at betterk12newsletter.com.
Blackboard believes in the power of good communication in helping students succeed and is a proud sponsor of School PR with Ryan Ferran. Blackboard, education's partner in change. Now, back to the podcast.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing, you know, as we wrap up here, this is all about vision. I am blessed to be in the organization right now. I'm running against an amazing PR practitioner who I have nothing but tremendous respect for. She has been in the organization for 2 decades, and NSPRA will be well served by no matter who comes to win this particular go round. But this is true. There is a choice, and there's stark differences between my platform and my opponent's platform. And my platform is all about expansion. I don't want to just look in. I think we've already taken great lengths to make sure that NSPRA provides value to its members. Now I want to provide value to public education on the whole. And I see that being the first race for president in 20 years, we've had uncontested elections for quite some time. This is how we're going to differentiate ourselves. I think the real question that the electorate has to consider is what kind of NSPRA are we right now, and what kind of NSPRA do we want to become? So I'm going to, definitely I want people to know they can find out more about me. My website is Nichols, which is spelled Nichols, and then the number 4, NSPRA, NSPRA.com, NicholsforNSPRA.com. I have all my cards around the table. I've got my history, everything that, people might want to know about me. I've also, during this candidacy, have decided to use the platform for positive change. I held a free nationally televised, televised. It was on a webinar, a national webinar where I brought in an expert, Dr. Donna Alam, who's from the Elam Institute, who's just nationally recognized as an expert in diversity and equity. And so we had a great conversation, and that entire thing is up on the website. It's available for download. It's under the events page on my website. So I'm really trying to get people to take a look at some of these issues that we're bringing up, and I'm looking forward to it. The election is for professional members of NSPRA. We've got like 1,500 of them or so. The election starts tomorrow, August 14th, and it will run through September the 4th. And so no matter what happens, I want people to go online, take a look at both of our platforms, and make a choice. But do not just assume that your vote doesn't count. I was talking to a mentor, friend, business partner, of course, Tom DeLapp, who's also a past NSPRA president, and he told me the last time there was a contested election, it came down to just a couple votes. And I could imagine that being the case this time. So I encourage everyone that's listening to take a look at the both of us and get excited about your association. When there's a marketplace of ideas, I think there's no way that we can lose, right?
No, I love it. I'm on NicholsforNSPRA.com right now. Real quick before I let you go, I'm just on your About page, and like I said, we've known each other a long time, but I did not know you have like 30,000 college degrees. And what you have an MBA, APR. Give us a little bit about your education background. I know you're an amazing at the field of communications and consulting and everything you're doing now, but tell me about your education, the MBA and all that sort of stuff. That's amazing.
Oh, well, thanks. I stand pale in comparison to my wife, who's got her PhD in electrical engineering. So I'm the also ran in the family, but nonetheless, I committed myself to education. I did get my undergraduate degree in classical civilization and political science from Howard University in DC. I did go and get my master's in business. It's interesting how that works. I graduated from Drexel University, which is awesome university in Philadelphia. And I got my APR in 2015. Back to that life is cumulative piece, the MBA, I got that while I was still working for Folsom Cordova Schools. I graduated with that in 2012, right? And so what's funny about that, I didn't start using really the management and effective skills until I became CEO last year, just a year ago. Tom DeLapp decided to elevate me to that position. I've been with Communication Resources for Schools. We work just about who we are. We are not, somebody asked me, are we a vendor? And how am I able to be a professional member? No, we're not a vendor. We're actually a cadre of school PR practitioners who all we do every day is go up and down along the nation and work alongside public school systems. I've worked in over 115 school districts in the last 5 years, most of them in California. But I worked on cases in South Carolina, 3 different districts in South Carolina, New York City Department of Education. I'm a consultant for U.S. Department of Education. Tom and I both teach at USC in the Rozier School of Education. We do a program with AASA called the Urban Superintendent's Academy. So, I mean, we're just really, really involved in elevating schools. Like, I want to cultivate communicating cultures in schools. That's really what the focus, if I had to make a mistake and say, what does communication resources for schools do? We cultivate communication and that culture in schools. We build capacity in school leaders, and we want to develop sustainable PR programs. So, titles and bios, all that stuff is not important. I think what's important is the heart. And when people get a chance to see someone's heart, I think that they're more inclined to listen and to follow up, And I've had a really cool career so far. I'd say I'm still early in my career. I've been doing this for 13 years. I plan on doing it for quite some time. So I hope to only get better. And I think that participating in organizations like NSPRA and CalSPRA help us do just that.
Yeah, and I think between you and Tom, probably 2 of the brightest education minds in the country, and probably being a little modest, I know you work with some of the biggest organizations in the country, and you guys have dealt with some of the most sensitive cases and just have so many success stories helping schools, advocating for teachers, students, staff, and public education. So the work you guys have done is just amazing. And more important than the intelligence and how you guys execute and your philosophy is you do care. I mean, you're in this for public education. You have a passion for it that struck you. You kind of like me. I was just going for a job, and I'm still here just because I love it and wouldn't want to do anything else. So, hey, Stephen, I appreciate the time. I appreciate all the work you've done with CalSPRA, NSPRA, advocating for public education. Like you said, NSPRA, whatever happens, NSPRA is going to be in good hands. But I fully support you. I love your vision, your mission, and everything you will do for NSPRA. So you got my vote. I hope you get many others, and we'll all check out Nichols for NSPRA.com. Thank you so much, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Rob Wiltsey, founder of SchoolShine. We make custom professional quality videos for school districts. We want to make sure your district has the very best video content possible and the best content strategy so you can get the most out of your videos. So check out some samples at schoolshine.org and schedule a call with us today to learn how you can take your videos to the next level. That's schoolshine.org.
Do you wish that creating and sending email newsletters took less time and effort? Would you like more parents to tune in and read your district's newsletter? If so, try MarketVolt, the email newsletter platform tailored for districts like yours. With MarketVolt, it's simple to create newsletters that parents will read. MarketVolt automatically customizes your newsletter to match each parent's interest. With MarketVolt, you can create better newsletters with less headache and less hassle. Visit betterk12newsletter.com to learn what MarketVolt can do for you. That's betterk12newsletter.com, powered by MarketVolt.
Hey there, PR experts. Blackboard here. School PR is about telling the story of your students, your teachers, and your school community. From websites and mass notifications to mobile presence and classroom engagement, Blackboard has the tools that you need. And whether you're a one-person shop or part of a bigger communication team, we can help you reach more people more effectively in less time. Thank you for all the work you do in improving education and helping students succeed. And thanks for letting us be a part of it.